Good evening, councillors and members in the public gallery. I will officially open this ordinary council meeting at 7:01 p.m. Thank you for your attendance tonight. I'd like to remind everyone in the chambers to ensure that comments are respectful to the council and all meeting attendees, including city officers and those in our public gallery. Please note this meeting is being live streamed. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Item 3 is announcements from the presiding member, and I'm proud to announce that the City received a Silver Award for its annual report at the 2025 Australasian Reporting Awards. I'll give it to the CEO. Achieving this recognition in only our second year of entering these awards reflects the dedication and collaboration of staff across the organisation in delivering high quality planning and reporting. The award highlights the importance of the annual report in demonstrating the City's performance and commitment to providing value to our community. Congratulations and thank you to everyone involved in this outstanding achievement. Item 4 is attendance. The Deputy Mayor is attending electronically this evening and all other councillors are present in the chamber. Applications for leave of absence. Are there any councillors who would like to apply? Councillor Ladder.
Thank you. I'd like to apply for the 12th of July to the 27th of July.
Inclusive?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? I would like to apply for a leave of absence from the 27th of June to the 22nd of July, inclusive. Can I have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor McDonald. All those in favour? That is unanimous. I'm just going to ask councillors to keep your hands up a bit longer so I have to check the screen as well, just for this evening. Thank you. Item 5 is disclosures of interest. So, anyone have an interest to disclose? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 2 disclosures this evening. 10.5.1.2.5, Policy Review, Community Facility Lease and Licence / User Agreement. I'm a member of various clubs who have a lease with the City. It is in partial interest and I'll be staying in the room for that one. Item 10.5.1.3.4, New Local Planning Policy, Short-Term Rental Accommodation. A client I'm engaged with would have an interest in this item. Declaring this as an indirect financial interest, I will leave the chamber during debate on this item and during any questions from the gallery.
Thank you. Councillor Ladder.
Thank you. On item 10.5.1.2.5, Community Facility Lease and Licence User Agreement, I have an indirect financial interest and would like to seek participation approval from council for it, as I believe it to be trivial.
Can we deal with that once everyone else has disclosed their interest and then we'll come back and deal with that? Anyone else? Councillor Sutherland?
Yeah, the usual 10.5.1.2.5, Community Facility Lease and Licence Use. I know people in a number of the clubs and I'm also a member of one. What about the confidential one?
We'll do that under confidential. So the one that you just disclosed, that's an impartial, and you'll be staying...
Impartial, and I'll stay in the room.
Thank you. Councillor Ostaszewski?
Thank you. My first one is for item 10.5.1.2.5, the Policy Review, Community Facility Lease and Licence User Agreement. I am associated with the Morley Windmills Sports Club, who hold a lease for the use of their facility with the City. It's an impartial interest and I'll be staying in the room. And in relation to item 11.1, Councillor Black's waiving of fees for electricity charges, Bayswater Playgroup, I have visited the playgroup on several occasions and have met with members and have participated in an event held by Casimir. Impartial, staying in the room.
Thank you. Anyone else? Deputy Mayor?
Any partial interest on item 10.5.1.2.5, the Community Facility Lease and License User Agreement. I am a member of the Mellons Historical Society, and I'm also a committee member of the Bayswater Childcare Association. Thank you.
And it's impartial.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Pittaway?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. It's the same item number 10.5.1.2.5, Community Facility Lease and Licence User Agreement. Nature of that is I'm a committee member along with the Deputy Mayor of the Bayswater Childcare Association, and I'll impartial and I will stay in the room for it.
Thank you. Councillor Loiacono?
Thank you. Same 10.5.1.2.5. I'm associated with multiple clubs and members. I do belong to a few clubs as well. It's impartial. I'll stay in the room.
Thank you. Okay, so now we'll now put the matter of Councillor Ladder's participation approval in item 10.5.1.2.5 to the vote. So, Councillor Ladder, could you please disclose the full extent of your interest to enable the council to determine whether you should be able to participate in the item, and to what extent is it everything from public questions to debate to decision?
So the nature of my interest is that my business, Rebel Books, provides $25 vouchers once a month for the Maylands Historical and Peninsula Society's monthly historical talks. We've done this for a couple of years. We agree to it at the beginning of the year, and each month somebody comes and collects that voucher for that purpose. So it's about 11 across a year, and this particular agreement would end at the end of this year. And I think that the interest is pretty comparable to being a member of a club or organisation, and I don't believe that it affects my impartiality on the matter. And I think I should be able to, well, if council decides, would like to participate fully in the matter.
In all aspects?
In all aspects.
Okay. So could I please request that you withdraw from the chamber? So, councillors, would anyone like to move a motion for Councillor Ladder to participate in this matter on the basis that their interest is so trivial or insignificant as to be unlikely to influence their conduct in relation to the matter? Please ensure when you move the motion that you detail the extent of the participation you wish for the councillor to have. For example, for the councillor to participate in public questions as well as debate and voting on the item. Moved Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Sutherland. Councillor Black, what's the motion that you're moving?
Moving that has full participation in all aspects, including question time, if they were to be raised, debate and decision making.
Thank you. And Councillor Sutherland?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I can't see
Okay.
the problem.
Anyone wish to speak against the motion? If not, I'll put it straight to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. We'll just call Councillor Ladder back in. Councillor Ladder, that request has been approved unanimously.
Sorry, can I also declare an impartial interest in that item because I'm a member of
Yes.
clubs?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. So we'll now move on to public question time. Councillors, the City has received questions in writing from 2 members of the public this evening. The questions and responses are listed in your run sheet, and I'll take those as read. The questions and responses are also available on the City's website and will be provided in the minutes for this meeting. So, members of the gallery, I'll first call for questions on items on this evening's agenda, and then I will open to questions on items not on the agenda. Please provide your name and suburb before you ask your question, and keep in mind that you're limited to 3 questions. So would anyone like to come forward about a question on tonight's agenda?
So for 10.5.1.2.1.
And if you can just state your name and suburb.
Yes, that would be Aviv Solman Naranda. So that was policy review CCTV management. Does the script for those CCTV integrated system, that run on C, C++, or is that a Rust system?
Thank you for your question. I have no idea about the answer to that, so I will go to the director who may know more than me.
Through you, Madam Mayor, would have to take that question on notice and provide a response.
We'll provide you with a response. Thank you. Anyone else have a question?
Hi, I'm Brianne Rasmussen, or Bree, and I live in Maylands. My question is relating to 10.5.1.2.5. Playgroup WA provided some correspondence during the week, noting that the City of Wanneroo and the City of Joondalup don't require their playgroups to hold leases or pay utilities, which appeared to differ from the comparison in Attachment 4. I was just wondering if the City could clarify whether this additional information has been considered and whether it potentially changes the comparative picture presented in the officer's report.
Thank you for your question, and I'll go to the director to respond.
Through the chair, so that correspondence that's been sent through, I suppose it does have an impact in terms of the information that's been provided to councillors previously with that report, where we've looked at other councils in terms of what they do with their leases. But in terms of the policy, it has been...
Sorry, Director, can you just speak more into the microphone? It's difficult to hear.
I'll move it a bit closer. So in terms of the actual, that information was provided to councillors, and the policy was workshopped with councillors, and the various angles were discussed with council in regards to what the policy could look like. And what's presented tonight went through the policy committee and was workshopped through council, and it is the end product that is going to be decided tonight from that process.
Thank you. Can I just ask another one on the same item? Could the City just confirm whether 1A leaseholders, mainly Casamia, are currently being charged for waste services under the existing lease terms? So there's a bit of conflicting info.
I'll go to the director to respond.
Through the chair, I believe the lease agreement states that there are waste charges. The waste charges also depends on whether you do have a waste service at the property. So I'm not aware whether you do have bins at the property, but if there are bins, you should be charged for them. But it is built into the lease agreement for those charges if you have a service to the property.
Okay. And if I could just ask one more on item 11.1. Could the City confirm whether it was aware of the Shire of Mundaring's 2023 approach, which included a one-year reprieve from charges for a playgroup in financial hardship, which was then followed by a policy revision to charge only for utility usage? And has this model been considered as part of this policy or part of the motion?
I don't believe the motion refers to that. It's a notice of motion from a councillor. It's not led by the City, but I'll go to the director to respond.
Thank you.
Through the chair, I wasn't aware of that particular decision at the Shire of Mundaring, and it hasn't been included in the officer's comments to that in that report.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward about an item on the agenda? Mr. Tonkin.
Harvey Tonkin, Noranda. 10.3.5.
Which I,
it's to do
sorry,
with the
10.3.
dog bags. Simplify it. What I would like to find out, I've discussed a bit with the waste management people. There's one issue I have that's not mentioned here. This particular company, the question's two parts, but they provide the actual bags for someone to distribute them.
So that's the question, whether they provide the bags and somebody else
It indicates
distributes
here that they supply them, but
I'll go to the director to respond.
Yeah, through the chair, I believe that's addressed in the actual report. They do supply the bags. You can find other products, but in terms of the best fit and the best value for the system that we use, they provide, and they do provide it at a competitive price.
I think
Yeah,
the question
That's
is,
my understanding,
yeah,
because the follow-on to that is who puts them
who installs it at the dog park?
in the container.
Yeah, I'll go to the director.
Yeah, through the chair. So it is through our waste contractor. So that is Cleanaway. They do have they routinely go through and fill the bags, but also through this system, because it actually links back to our system, we can notify if a particular station is running low, and they can attend to that and get that filled instead of it running out, waiting for the next service to come through.
That's my understanding. The main part of my question resolves around, is there a penalty for them not keeping up to date? I'll give you an example. There's one near me. It's been a week and a half, empty. It's been replaced today, but are they aware that it's getting down? You can't see how many bags are in there. That's the problem. So is the waste contractor aware? Are they advised when it's down to 50 bags or 30 bags to say, look, you need to go out, because they only come out once a week. And when there are no bags there, it's very, very inconvenient.
I'll go to the director to respond.
Through the chair. So the system, what's in the actual dispenser, it actually does communicate back to say if it's running low and if it runs out, and the contractor is notified that that's the case, and they will attend to fill those, put the new bags in there. In that particular case, I'll be interested to get the information exactly where that is, and we can have a look at whether a notification has been sent through or whether there's been some sort of
It's
other
really
issue
just,
with the
is,
system.
has the system started? I mean, I know there's a SIM in there, so.
It has, yeah.
It has, so theoretically, that particular bin should have been replenished.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because when Cleanaway were doing it before, they would just miss them, and it becomes very inconvenient. But the system you've got now is good, except the Cleanaway guy's got a lock it, has a little lock on the side, and often he doesn't lock it because it's too hard.
We'll take that feedback on board. Oh, director wants to
If I can just add a bit more information to that. I mean, we've rolled out this new system. It's not rolled out 100% across all parks. So we need to see whether that park's still running the old.
No, we've got all the new bins.
Okay.
Yeah, they're okay. It's just the person who puts it in, that's your stepping block. Good luck. I just want to make sure. I would like to see
Mr. Tonkin, it is public question time.
Yeah, and the question is, are you aware that I would like to see these people penalised?
We'll take that on board. Thank you. Anyone else have a question on an item on this evening's agenda? If not, I'll open up to questions not on the agenda.
Aviv Silman, Naranda. Does the council have any plan for 81 Camboon Road? I'm not even sure if I'm fairly sure the council doesn't even own that property, but it's just an empty block.
On Camboon Road?
81 Camboon Road.
Is that the old Naranda Nursery site?
Yes.
So the council doesn't have any plans. It is a privately owned piece of land. Does anyone? I'll go to the director to see if they know there was a development application that was approved many years ago. I'll go to the director to see if they have any updates on the progress of that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, there may be, but I would rather take that on notice and provide information if there is further information.
Thank you.
Does the council, in light of recent developments from the US government, which tends to get mirrored by our own cybersecurity advice by the ACSC, so they're no longer allowing like CISA, the White House, the DoD, to procure new software using C, C++, because that software just tends to be far too liable to memory safety issues. Like 59% of cybersecurity vulnerabilities have been linked to memory safety issues, which is overwhelmingly C, C++. They've produced a new policy that they'd no longer be procuring new software in those languages and moving to other languages like Rust and Go. And has the council considered a policy like that for its own software procurement?
Thank you for the question. I'll go to the director to respond.
Through you, Madam Mayor. We do have different controls that we have in place before we procure any software to make sure it meets our cybersecurity requirements, specifically about the C++ that you mentioned. I'll take that on notice and provide a response.
Thank you.
One more question.
Yep.
Has the council even considered asking the vendors it procures software from what language the software is written in, as an even basic assessment?
Thank you for the question. I'll go to the director to respond.
Through you, Madam Mayor, there's a detailed prescriptive process that we follow to confirm with vendors the security of the software that we're planning to procure. I would need to review that to see if we specifically ask that question.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question?
Apologies, I should have stood up when it was to do with the agenda.
That's fine.
If that's okay. So,
Yep.
Tamina Stokes from Morley. It just says, and the policy is...
Oh, sorry. I do have a councillor that needs to leave
Oh,
the room.
okay. Yeah, absolutely, of course. I'll try and make it quick.
So do you mind just stating the item number for the
Item
record?
number is, 10.5.1.3.4. And it says in here, under the revision rationale, it says, it has been demonstrated that the management of these STRA has a significantly greater impact on residential amenity than location. It is considered that STRA can be effectively managed through register and policy. And then it says here that the council says that the city's response to this policy was that overall there are few compliance matters in relation to STRA, with the majority of STRA operating without complaint and appear to be operating harmoniously with neighbours. There is no evidence to suggest that STRA increases antisocial behaviour or has impacts on amenity. I'm just curious to know how the council has come to that conclusion when the policy itself was every STRA, it says in here, the notification, external consultation. It said that letters and emails are sent to existing STRA operators, but there was no direct so that's direct consultation with them to get their feedback, but there was no direct consultation with the adjoining neighbours who this policy is actually for. So I'm saying, how can the council assume that when they've only spoke to one side of the party and not the neighbours who actually have the impact to amenity?
Thank you for your question. My understanding from the officer's report is that that finding that they came to was based on the amount of complaints or lack of complaints received at the council level, but I will go to the director to clarify that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, that's correct. In addition, the policy was advertised on the city's webpage and engaged Bayswater and promoted more broadly for public comment as well.
I'm just saying there was the capacity to, it should be that it was only provided on the website for everyone to access, including STRA operators. I'm just saying for policies, I think when there's two sides, because every time someone applies for this, they have to name all of the neighbours that are included. So when consultation goes out, it really should be for the operator and all of the direct adjoining neighbours so that there is an equal...
That will be considered by council this evening.
I appreciate that. That was all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question? Please come forward.
Klaus Lange, Embleton. The City of Bayswater may be aware that the RISE in Maylands is facilitating introduction pickleball courses for seniors. Now, my question, would the council support to introduce a pensioner or discounted rate for further participation of that group?
Thank you for your question. tonight the council will be considering our schedule of fees and charges for the next financial year, but I'll go to the director if there's any extra comments on that. No?
No further
No.
comments.
So those fees and charges are considered this evening.
Okay. A second question. For the ordinary play of pickleball in the Rise, can the council confirm that the proposed increase in fees of 16.5% is indeed coming? And if so, would the council not see
sorry,
that?
do you mind just repeating that? Because I didn't hear that.
Okay. There is a fee increase proposed for ordinary play in the pickleball groups at the Rise of about 16.5%. Now, would the council consider this fee as excessive if it is indeed introduced?
Thank you for your question. I'm unaware if the pickleball activity that you're referring to is a city-led one or if it's a private operator who is using the Rise and running it as a private thing. I'd have to go to the director to see if we have any further information on that.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I would need more information to be able to look into it.
Yeah, so basically, even though it's our facility, so we have the Rise, we have Morley Sport and Rec, whilst it's the City of Bayswater facility, we're not necessarily running the activities that take place in that. So for instance, at Morley Rec Centre, there's East Perth Basketball and they have basketball teams playing in there. And the costs for that is all done by the third party. It's nothing to do. They pay us a court hire fee. So we get the fee for them to use the courts, but we're not actually facilitating the activity, whether it's, pickleball or paddleball or basketball or netball or anything like that. So do you know if it's run by the city?
The sessions I'm referring to are actually facilitated by the Rise and are organised by members of the City of Bayswater who are actually employed.
So we'd have to take that on.
Yeah, it's not a private group.
So the 16.5%, where have you got that figure from?
That's been circulated as the fee increase to come from the 1st of July.
Okay, I'll just give me one moment. Thank you very much. I'm just having a look at it within this fees and schedule. So at the moment, it is $10.91 and it's proposed to go from $10.91 to $12.
That's correct.
Yeah. So that will be considered by council tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Please come forward.
Ian Rogers, Bayswater. I've also got a petition to hand in tonight, and these questions are linked to that petition. It's around safety and parking on Drake Street in Bayswater. Can the city please provide an update on the status and timeline of the parking and speeding review of Drake Street between Beachborough Road and Burnside Street, including when the community can expect recommendations or actions to be presented?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, I don't know the exact details of all the findings, but I believe that city officers have looked at the traffic counts in that area and they've inspected the road. I know there's been some communications between some of the residents along there with city officers. I know there's been some changes to the parking that eventuated or came out of the Drake Street cycle path project in terms of parking on one side of the street. And I know that they looked at some potential options along that street as well. And I know that the traffic counts showed that the traffic is within the capacity of the road, and I know that that some of the traffic speeds were within the 50 kilometre range that's on the road, perhaps a little bit higher. I think the 85 percentile is about 53 kilometres an hour. But in terms of any further works and actions along that road, I need to talk to the team here at the city and just see what we can do, and potentially maybe even meet with some of the residents if we can get people together to have a discussion about what it all means and what the options are out there to address the concerns of the community.
Thank you.
Sorry, before you continue, we just have to get Kale back in, Councillor Black back in. Sorry. Sorry to interrupt, please continue.
That's okay. Following the Wombat Crossing funding request from Councillor Stephen Ostashevsky in the 2026-27 Forward Capital Works budget, how is this section of Drake Street being prioritised for funding, and what criteria are being used to assess its urgency given the increased vehicle usage and pedestrians on the street?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Director.
Through the chair, so in regards to the Wombat Crossing, so that isn't included in the draft budget. The reason being is that when the officers did look at that option, there were some issues in terms of its feasibility, trying to fit it into that area, and the fact that some of the numbers didn't quite stack up in terms of potential usage because of the large frontage to the park there. And there was also some issues in regards to there's parking in the area and would require some sort of modifications to the roads to try and fit a Wombat Crossing in there. It didn't necessarily meet the warrants for a Wombat Crossing, but there could be potential other options that we can look at in that location.
Disappointing. Has the city formally considered or assessed the Bayswater Hotel's request for courtesy signage to discourage illegal parking on Drake Street? And if so, what was the outcome and rationale?
Thank you for the question. I'll go to the Director.
Through the chair, I don't believe we've received any request from the Bayswater Hotel in regards to signage. So, but we do know that the rangers do go out there occasionally and look at parking and what's occurring in that area. We can have another look at the area, and potentially, if we talk about other treatments and things like that, we'll have a look at the parking and the illegal parking in that area and what can be done.
Yeah, on that question, I spoke with the Bayswater Hotel and suggested they get courtesy parking, similar to a local market they saw, and they said that the Bayswater Council told them they weren't allowed to put up signs on the verge because there's plenty of signage that's adequate already. And it's more than occasionally that the rangers do go out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'll close public question time. We'll move on to item 7, which is confirmation of minutes. Do I have a mover and seconder to confirm the minutes of the ordinary council meeting on the 26th of May 2026? Move Councillor Latta, seconded Councillor Loiacono. Put that to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Item 8 is presentations, and we start off with petitions. Councillor McDonald, do you have a petition?
Yes. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. This is from Ian, who just asked the questions, and it is 31 signatures. The petition is to deliver safer pedestrian access and parking on Drake Street between Beechford Road and Burnside Street, including a Wombat Crossing, as mentioned, improved access to a Holiday Park, to Halliday Park, and improved parking. And I just want to say, really wonderful, local, extremely passionate, and we will see you down there for another meeting.
Thank you. Just, so you're moving it? Yes. Seconded Councillor Osaszowski. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you. So I'll now go to Councillor Pittaway to make a presentation. Councillor Pittaway.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wish to advise this meeting that complaints were made to the city that I made a comment on Facebook that was capable of being perceived as offensive and dismissive. An assessment found that I breached Clause 8.1a of the City of Bayswater Code of Conduct in making that comment. I personally acknowledge that I should not have made that comment. and I now apologise to any members of the community who were offended by my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next item is deputations, and they were heard at last week's agenda briefing forum. Delegates report, we have one, which is item 8.4.1, Mayor Philomena Pifaretti, IICD Company Directors course. I'll be moving that. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Latta. I'll just say that I found it to be a very highly useful course, and I would encourage all councillors during their term to consider undertaking it. The knowledge you gain around governance, risk, your legal obligations, financial literacy is very, very relevant to our roles around here. So I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. So we move on to item 9, which is method of dealing with agenda business, and pulling first this evening is Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 10.3.4 Riverside Gardens play space.
Just one moment. Yep.
10.5.1.2.3 policy review footpath.
Yep.
10.5.1.2.5 policy review community facility lease and license user agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Nothing. Thank you.
Councillor Latta.
10.3.1.
Yep.
And 10.5.1.3.4. And 14.1.1, or we're going to deal with that anyway?
No, we're going to deal with that. Did you say 10.5.1.3.4? Yep. And do you mind just turning off the microphone in the gallery? Councillor Sutherland?
I would like to talk on 10.2.4, rates exemption.
Yep.
I'd like to do 10.3.7 near Hillcrest, although I think that will probably come up. 10.3.7 Hillcrest Reserve Basketball Court.
Just 1 second. Yep.
This petition.
Yep.
10.4.1 Planning Excellence Program.
Yep.
10.5.1.33 Local Planning Policy Development
Yep.
Approvals Exemption. And I think we've got to do the short-term accommodation. That was it?
That's already been pulled.
Yeah. That's it. Thanks.
Councillor Pittaway? Councillor Sadowski? Councillor Loiacono?
Yes, please. 10.5.1.1.1.
Yep.
2026 Policy Review Schedule Progress Report.
Councillor McDonald? Okay. So we'll now move to consideration of the reports in section 10. Can I please have a mover and seconder to bring forward items 10.3.1, 10.3.6, 10.3.7, 10.5.1.2.5 and 10.5.1.3.4, which were subject to deputations. Move Councillor Sutherland, seconded Councillor Ostaszewski. All those in favour? That is unanimous. So we'll begin with 10.3.1, Maylands Lakes Landscape and Water Quality Plan. Councillor Latta, you've pulled it. Are you moving officer's recommendation? Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor. Councillor Latta.
Thank you. I'll keep it really brief. I just wanted to say that it's really great to see this come through. I'm really proud of all of the work that the city and the council have done around Maylands Lakes, and I think the regular community forums are really effective in helping the community understand where we're at and where we're going. And I'll be really happy to see this plan begin to be worked on, the landscaping plan specifically, in the coming years. Thanks.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Nothing to add.
Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll put it to the vote. Sorry.
Yeah, look,
Councillor
I just want
Sutherland?
to,
Go ahead.
endorse what Councillor Latta said. I think this has been a big journey, and this stage one is showing promise, and I think the residents are happy with all the community, and for once, after many years, people are actually happy. So I think this is a good start. Well done to everyone.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll just do a quick thing. I just want to acknowledge and thank all of the community members who have taken part in this very long process, and for all of those community members who have provided feedback to the city, whether it's, you know, at the beginning, I'd say we got a lot of negative feedback, but I'm happy to say that in recent times it's gone to a lot of positive feedback, and that positive feedback is we're very grateful to receive, not only at a council level but at a staff level as well. So thank you very much to the community. Okay, I'll go to the move to close. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. The next item is 10.3.6, Riverside Gardens Urban Forest Project update. Nobody's pulled this, so I will move it. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Latta. Happy to support this. This has also been a long-running project that is going to have a lot of community benefit, and again, we're already seeing the feedback from residents who have watched the construction of this urban forest and how you know, it's improving the amenity of the area already, and we just need to get this done. And it's been really great to get all the grant funding as much as we have got. So let's hope this is finished in the very near future. Councillor Latta?
Thank you. Yeah, I echo that. I think it's such an exciting project, and it's really wonderful to see it at this stage. We're very fortunate to have gotten as much grant funding as we have got. The majority of the project is grant funded, and a really tricky site being a former waste disposal site, so landfill. Yeah, it's really exciting to see what can come from that, and I know a significant amount of work has gone into getting it to this point, so I'm very excited to see it completed.
Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Black?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a few quick comments. It's really fantastic to see this update report come through to Council. I also want to echo what you said before about and what you and Councillor Latta said about the project funding as well. 87% funded through external grants. I think if we got that for every single project that we ran, I think our finance team would be over the moon. So to see that level of funding to come into this very important project down there at Riverside Gardens, I think is fantastic, and looking forward to seeing the work continue down there.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Item 10.3.7, Hillcrest Reserve Basketball Court Petition. Councillor Sutherland, you've pulled this one. Are you moving officer's recommendation? Seconded, Councillor Ostrzowski. Councillor Sutherland, anything?
Look, I'm happy to support this. This petition, in my opinion, demonstrates a strong community interest and advocating for this basketball courts. This proposal would be a welcome addition to a much-loved sports precinct, enhancing the diversity of recreational options that we see there. Also demonstrates the popularity of the sport. I know at my school, this basketball is by far #1 sport. A basketball court would not only encourage greater physical activity among young people, promoting health and well-being, but also provides an accessible, informal space for social interaction and community connection, especially amongst youngsters. Overall, in my opinion, a no-brainer.
Thank you. Councillor Ostrzowski.
I'd like to thank Mr. Aaron Turner for the work that he did in getting a significant amount of signatures for the petition. He went out above and beyond gathering community support for some basketball type kind of facility to be considered by council at Hillcrest Reserve. So I just wanted to make an acknowledgement of Mr. Turner for his work.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I support what the officer's recommendation is, and I'd like to thank again, as other councillors have, the resident who has put forward that petition and gathered those signatures. I think it's going to be a great addition to Hillcrest Reserve if that's part of the consideration as part of our needs assessment report. The only thing I would say is obviously there are some people that might consider basketball courts to be noisy, and I'm sure that when considering that, council and the city will be considering some of those materials that are used or facilities that are installed there. But I'm sure that those concerns can be mitigated and can be managed effectively.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Ladder.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for Hillcrest Reserve because that's my childhood park, local park. But I want to say that I really love seeing when the community drives like plans and improvements to our community infrastructure. I think it's excellent to see, and I'm really happy to support it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Pittaway.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think there's sentiment amongst the councillors tonight. You know, it's much in support of this. My son plays basketball, and I know that there's very limited places you can go. You know, there's one near on Crimea, which is good for us, but you know, leading up to a game at the Morley Rec Centre, there is actually nowhere to practice. So it's the only sport I see where the kids get 5 minutes to, you know, rehearse or, you know, practice before a game commences. So more of these facilities are definitely needed amongst the community. A bit like Councillor Ladder said, this is my old horn. I used to play footy down in Hillcrest when I was a St Mark's boy, and good fond memories there. But I think this will improve the amenities there, and I think it's a great thing. So well done to Aaron for getting up all that, you know, getting that petition up. So well done.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
No, nothing more to say.
Put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. The next item is 10.5.1.2.5, Policy Review, Community Facility Lease and Licence User Agreement. Councillor Black, you've pulled this one. Are you moving the officer's recommendation?
With amendments, Madam Mayor.
What are the amendments?
The amendments in my name on the run sheet with an addition to limb 2, with the addition of the words at the end of the limb, effective 1 July 2026. I've provided that wording to governance.
So it's not on the run sheet?
Sorry, number 2 on the run sheet there, with the addition of the words at the end of, after the word section, effective 1 July 2026.
I'm just going to clarify something with governance. Okay. So, Councillor Black, it's not your amendment. I'm unable to accept that amendment. It's not relevant to the policy that's before us. It's actually referring to altering existing lease agreements, which is not what the item before us is, so I can't accept that.
Just for clarity, Madam Mayor, is that the amendment that's on the run sheet or the amendment with the addition of those words?
Sorry, I'm just... Sorry, I was given wrong information, so it is relevant to the policy. Sorry about that. So that councillors, the wording is on the screen. That's what's being moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Latta. Councillor Black.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and as I said, I support the officer's recommendation with the addition of the amendment in my name up there. Firstly, I just want to start off with the fees schedule that we are looking at in front of us here. I'm very glad to see this amendment come through from the Policy Committee, which sees a reduction in fees from between categories 1A, 1B, to small and to medium, to provide lower fees for our small community clubs and not-for-profit organisations. I think this is a good result given that a lot of the preventative maintenance charges do come in the form of individual invoices, which is a pain for both city and for these organisations, especially those who have external accounts people that they do hire, and each time there's an invoice raised, it does cost money. So I'm glad to see this proposal come through that allows for a quarterly, half yearly or a yearly charge, and they know what's coming. I've also made the addition of Lim 2 in our, up there in red, which amends the category 1A small volunteer community groups by removing those utility costs from the lease fees and charges section, and the city does provide, and the city to take on that obligation. The reason I'm moving this is because I do believe that category 1A organisations do a significant amount for the community, and not just for the community, but for the city as well. I do believe that that they do operate in an environment where it's very difficult for them to raise their revenue streams, or provide additional revenue streams, or provide additional fundraising opportunities because of their the quantum of the members that are involved, the nature of what they do. And I do believe that the city is in a position, and we are in a position as councillors, to consider what we can do from our end to provide relief for them. We did hear some of those stories from the deputations last Tuesday. What they can do with that money is provide that directly into the organisation and what the organisation provides to the community as well. Some of those examples is the toy library, where they could provide for more toys to members or more services to them. Another example is the men's shed, where they can provide more workshops, more materials, and provide more outreach, especially to those who maybe men's sheds do tend to favour a more experienced demographic. I think that's important for them to have those outlets. The women's workshop as well also provided a deputation as well, and what they could provide to their members in terms of additional services as well, what that is able to unlock. And as of course, we've also heard from our playgroups as well as to what the removal of utility costs could mean for them as well, especially one in much more immediate circumstances as well. I do believe that this is something that we can do. It is within our powers as council, and how within the city as well. I also just want to reiterate as well that there are organisations on there such as Environment House who do provide a significant service to the city, which means that we don't have to provide those resources ourselves, and that includes the time resource, the employment resource, or facilitation of events. Ellis House as well does provide a significant stream for our community arts as well, and without that, it cuts out a significant amount of our arts program or our arts outreach to the community as well. So I do believe that it is, I think, a relatively small cost for what we gain to benefit from it as a whole, as a community. We also heard from a lot of these groups in that a lot of their members do derive from the City of Bayswater as well. Toy Library estimated around 80% of their 150 members. The Women's Workshop are the same, 80% of their 75 members. Casimir, 80% of their 80 members, and Bayswater Playgroup around 80% of those 20 members. And I do believe that for the Bayswater Historical Society, the Maylands Peninsula Historical Society, Ellis House, and the Bayswater Men's Shed as well, you'll probably find they might have similar numbers there as well. So this does benefit I think directly a large number of City of Bayswater residents, and it does mean that we can provide them with additional support to allow them to continue their operations within our city and contribute greatly towards our objectives in our council plan. I really implore council to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Latta.
Thank you. So I'm going to support this. I think that the policy that we have workshopped is decent, but I do really worry about the viability of these small volunteer community groups. I think that which is why I'm supporting this particular alternative. These groups are our partners in building the kind of community that we want and need in the city of Bayswater, and they are volunteer run. They do not have the capacity, nor should they need to, spend extra time fundraising just to remain operational. I think that the benefit that they provide to our community is worth our investment in those groups. But importantly, I think that the city is in a much better position to implement the infrastructure changes to reduce utility costs at those buildings by installing solar and other measures than those community groups are themselves. And so I think that it is more appropriate that we are responsible for helping them to reduce their electricity costs through installation of solar and things like that, which I believe the city bearing the utility costs for those small groups provides an incentive for the city to do.
Thank you. Councillor Loiacono?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to foreshadow my alternative motion, please.
And it's in the run sheet?
Yes.
Noted. Would you like to speak on this item?
No, thank you.
Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'm happy to support Councillor Black's motion. It's modest. It's not breaking the bank. It supports local groups that are quite small and important to the fabric of our community. Equality is not necessarily equity, so treating them the same as everyone else is not giving them potentially the assistance that they deserve. The community leaseholders use the facilities that the city provides, and they're not all equal. Some have a bar, some don't. They have minimal membership bases, no function, higher income. Raising money for a Category 1 community group is a lot harder than, say, a grand final barbecue, piss up. So for the clubs in the higher categories, it seems like a pretty easy one to do from a community perspective because of the dollar value.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? I have a few questions, probably to the director. The mover referred to this as a small cost, and another councillor just referred to the small cost as well. Has this cost of this amendment been quantified? Do we know the exact cost to the city and ratepayers?
We don't know the exact costs. The main reason why we don't know the exact cost is because some of these accounts are being paid for, or they're in the name of those organisations that are using those facilities. But an example would be, we looked at the 2 Hudson Street premises. We know that that's about $2,000 a year for electricity alone, and then you can add in the cost of water as well, and any other utilities if there's gas. So, if you use the figure of say $4,000 per premises, and you'd multiply it by about 8 premises under the Category 1A, so you're looking at about $32,000, probably in the vicinity of about $30,000 is probably a reasonable figure or estimate of the figures, but we don't actually have the exact number.
Okay, so would it be reasonable to think that the Bayswater Women's Hub and the Bayswater Men's Shed may have a larger electricity bill than a playgroup?
That's correct. Yeah,
Yep.
I'd say that would be fair and reasonable.
Okay. So I'm going to speak against this for a number of reasons. First thing I'm going to talk about is the cost. We've just heard, we're being asked as a council to approve waiving of these utility charges for 8 different organisations, which we don't even know what the cost of that is. And what we heard right now from the director is that there are variables. They're not just all the same across the different groups. And what I heard at the deputation last week is when we had the deputy from the Bayswater Women's Hub, she indicated that their electricity alone was, I can't remember if it was $11,000 or $15,000. She said that in her deputation. So it would be, I think it's irresponsible to make decisions, financial decisions, when you don't have all the financial information. That's one reason. Second reason is the reason for change. So what the public might not know is that when amendments are put forward like this, councillors need to provide a reason for the change. And the reason that the mover has put here is that the reason is to provide financial support for not-for-profit community groups that are deemed to be run solely by volunteers who facilitate programs or activities that are specifically targeted for local residents and demonstrate a limited or no capacity to generate revenue through facility use or activities. So I see a number of these 1A that don't fit within these reasons. There are organisations within here that have paid facilitators. There are organisations in here that certainly have members that are not City of Bayswater residents. These are members from outside of the city. They do have the ability to generate revenue through facility use, and I'll use Casimir as an example. We know that their facility is available for hire on at least Saturdays and Sundays, and that they have been generating income that way. And that's just, and there's other examples of activities, whether it be Environment House or Ellis House or any of these where they're running activities and they're receiving income from those activities. So I don't agree with the reason for this change. And I also want to address the comments made from both the mover and the seconder in terms of there's community benefit, they deserve it, they're providing services so that the city doesn't have to provide those services. Those comments that I heard are all really valid comments, but those comments relate to every single organisation in all of these categories, not just the 1A category. Our sporting clubs deliver services so that we don't have to deliver it. They have huge benefits to all age groups, not just little kids, but older kids and adults as well. Why does one group deserve it more than another group? I believe that all our groups are very deserving. In terms of the financial thing, we can't just give everybody everything for free. We are helping people by giving them the leases for a very, very, very discounted rate. And that's something that we can do. Utilities are a state government charge. They are not a charge by the local government. It is not up to our ratepayers to subsidise a standard state government charge that everybody has to pay. It's not up to the ratepayers to do that. That is something that these organisations can advocate to the state government for. What I will say is that I was on council back in 2019 when this idea of covering utilities first was brought up. And back in 2019, I listened to the reasons back then, and I did support that. And I supported that motion across every organisation, not just for some that we think they're more special than others. I supported it for across. But that decision was to give those organisations a 5-year period to get a leg up, to give them that kind of breathing space where they didn't have to worry about those costs, and they could then make some savings from that, work out how they were going to be more financially sustainable into the future so that there was an end date. There was an end date, and that was decided by council as well, to put in that end date. So I find it a bit unreasonable that after 5 years of not providing any clubs, not forcing them or, not requiring them to cover their own utility charges for their usage, that now we're being asked to extend that, and it doesn't even have an end date. It's like in perpetuity that these organisations will get this. So where's the incentive to do better? We gave them 5 years. They've had 5 years, all of these groups, and now I just see more requests for, for our ratepayers to cover this. So for all of those reasons, I do not support this. Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak against? I'll go the mover to close.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Sorry.
My apologies.
I don't know if it's a bit delayed, but I didn't see your hand, Deputy Mayor. I'm sorry.
Yes, can I just say a few things?
Go ahead.
Thank you. So we had several discussions about this topic at meetings, and I don't recall this proposal being raised and discussed, and I would have preferred to have the opportunity to look into the source of money that is being proposed, hopefully by the mover, to subsidize.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor.
I
Do you
just
have
want to make a point of order because I think those discussions were confidential.
I'll just get, sorry, Deputy Mayor, if you can just wait, there's a point of order.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
And the point of order is?
That those discussions were confidential. They were
Just
in
give me one
briefings.
moment. Deputy Mayor, can I just confirm, are you referring to discussions that were held in a council briefing?
Yes.
Okay, so a point of order has been called that those discussions are confidential. So can you please retract those comments?
Please, I'm happy. I will reward it. I don't remember this issue being raised at the council level at any opportunity, and specifically the discussion around the source of money to subsidize the proposal. I would have loved to have the opportunity to have that discussion and to understand the impact on the budget. I understand the proposal is to have that effective from 1st of July. And I'll just note the other item tonight on the agenda, rate increase of 5.9%. So I will leave it with that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now go to the mover to close.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for all councillors for their comments this evening. I do want to say that I do think these organisations do provide something that all organisations in the city are worthy, well and truly. We do have a lot of sports clubs in our city. We do have a lot of not-for-profits. We do have a lot of community organisations. The reason why I looked at Category 1A is because they are the ones that have the lowest capacity to either generate revenue, to fundraise. They have generally small numbers, and they do operate on a very volunteer basis. Compared to sports clubs that may have hundreds of members or even thousands of members, that doesn't discourage them or disparage them in the slightest. It's more about the capacity to generate that income and generate that fundraising. It does provide them with a little bit of support to allow them to continue providing services, which I believe contribute greatly to the council plan, which could contribute greatly to what and align greatly to what our officers are doing as well in the areas of environment, in the areas of community outreach, and older residents as well, for example. I hope that the council can support this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm now putting this amended motion to the vote. All those in favour is Councillor Latta, Councillor Black, Councillor McDonald. All those against? Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Ostaszewski, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland, Deputy Mayor and myself. That is lost, and we now go to the foreshadowed motion. Councillor Loiacono, you've provided that to councillors?
Yes.
So I'm just checking. Deputy Mayor, have you got a copy? Okay. So, councillors, you've all been provided with Councillor Loiacono's amendment. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Latta. Councillor Loiacono.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of these amendments is to ensure that our historical societies are recognised appropriately within the policy framework, rather than being accommodated through special conditions. These organisations perform a unique role in preserving and sharing the history of our community, and it's reasonable that they're acknowledged through a dedicated category with terms that reflect their circumstances. The amended fee structure also better recognises the distinction between organisations that operate entirely through volunteers and those with paid staff and greater organisational capacity. Our volunteer groups contribute countless hours to delivering community benefit, often with very limited resources, and it's important that council's leasing and licensing arrangements remain fair, proportionate, and supportive of that contribution. The amendments don't alter the intent of the policy. They provide greater clarity, consistency, and equity in its application while ensuring that community organisations can continue to access and utilise council facilities in a sustainable way. Thank you.
Councillor Ladder?
Thank you. I just want to take the opportunity to thank the officers that have worked on this policy because it was quite complex, and as I think people can see, there is a range of views around council about how we should deal with community leasing, and I think that they've done quite a good job at trying to bring all of that to a place where most of us potentially can agree on it, and I appreciate all of that work. I think that this is a better outcome than what we had before, so I'm happy to support it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Deputy Mayor?
Not against. I just have a question, please.
Go ahead.
So the motion on the table, I saw changes the figures for category 4 and 5. First, can I clarify with the office through you, Chair?
And category 2 large. There's 3 changes.
Thank you. My question is about category 4 and 5, and I'll start with 5. 5 is the child health nurses, the clinics. So I wanted to understand from the city if the figure that is proposed here matches more or less the fees that they pay anyway, that come under the maintenance fee.
So their combined cost of all their fees.
That this matches what they currently pay.
I'll go to the director to see if he has that information.
Yeah, I just need a moment to have a look at whether I have that information in front of me.
He just needs a moment, Deputy Mayor.
Unfortunately, I don't have that information. The categories I have is category 1B, 2s and 3s and 1As, but I don't have the 4s.
He will need to take that on notice, Deputy Mayor.
Okay. So what I'll do, I would like to ask for to move an amendment.
Which is?
Which is what you have in the run sheet. If you see in the run sheet, I have limb number 4 and 5, which are 2 different aspects. I'd like to move them in as amendments. Perhaps they move and second they can adopt them.
So 4 and 5?
From the run sheet, yes. And I can explain them.
I'm just going to ask the mover and seconder if they accept it. So the seconder doesn't?
No.
And the mover doesn't. So no, that's not. Do you wish to move it as an amendment? Yes?
4, just to confirm that everyone understands, 4 is requesting the CEO to engage with the leaseholder of 2 Hudson Street to waive the payment of waste charges and facilitate the potential provision of out-of-school hours care services. And number 5 is removing fire detection system servicing from the maintenance fee and charge them separately, and that will offset what you have in.
Okay, so I'll see if there's a seconder.
Madam Mayor,
Councillor
may I
Black?
have a point of order?
Point of order.
Just on 10.12 relevance of amendments, just Lim 4, I believe, is not relevant to the motion in respect of which it is moved, and I seek your ruling on that one.
Okay, can I have a moment to consider that? Deputy Mayor, did you hear Councillor Black?
Yes, and I think there is a word missing in 4B. It's supposed to say subcategory 1A of the policy.
All right, just give me one moment, please. I need to consider this. Deputy Mayor, upon looking at your amendment, it isn't, it's actually not relevant. It's not relevant because what's in front of us now by Councillor Loiacono, there are no special conditions of subcategory 1A. So therefore, it's not relevant.
Oh, sorry. I can change it. So it should say, if required, amend subcategory 1A of the policy. My amendment was done before I knew of the amendments from Councillor Loiacono.
I just need some extra time. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Sorry, I just needed to make sure from a governance perspective that what we're doing is correct. After consideration, I've ruled that the point of order doesn't apply in this, and that it can be considered relevant to what's in front of us. So I'm going to ask if there's a seconder for this. There's no seconder, Deputy Mayor, so the motion lapses. So I'll now go back to the substantive motion that we have on the table from Councillor Loiacono. Does anyone wish to speak against it?
Yeah, I'll speak.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, look, I cannot support it for two main reasons. There are others, but I will highlight two ones. The first one is that it does not address the issues that we heard during deputations from the Bayswater playgroups at Casamia and the Bayswater playgroup, which I tried to address with no financial cost to the city, but it was not supported. The second issue is that there is a change to the figures in categories 4 and 5, and I'm specifically concerned about 5, which is the child health nurses. we were not able to confirm whether it is similar or even beyond the current maintenance costs that they pay. I wouldn't want the Department of Health to remove any of the existing childhood nurses in the city of Bayswater just because we inflict a new maintenance fee which may be higher than what they currently pay. What they provide is essential to local families. So I cannot support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in favour? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'd like to thank the councillors for moving this motion as well. I'm speaking in favour of this because I do believe that the amendments to the annual fee structure are suitable and fair. I do like to see Category 2 large being reduced down to $13.20, which includes GST, with the addition of the new Category 1C for $55, which is inclusive of GST for proposed for historical societies as well. I do believe that means that our organisations which fit between categories 1A and to 2 large inclusive do get a better deal out of this. They know how much those costs are coming. They can manage their accounts for them as well. And in particular, it's good to see that category 2 large is seeing a reduction in that. Most importantly, I do like to see that this is cost neutral to what the city has originally proposed as well. In the original policy committee documents, there was, I believe, an 80% coverage for leaseholders and 20% for the city as well, with a sum that was to come in. This doesn't materially change the sum coming in, and it means that we can provide that further relief for those categories 1A to large. I cannot in good conscience, for example, category 1B was proposed to be $700, in category 4 to be approximately $500 to $550. I cannot in good conscience charge category 1B more than organisations in category 4 who are on their comprehensive income for the last financial year was close to $1 million, and they're receiving a 40% of GRV rate as well for their rent. I think this balances the scales a bit better, and I do support what Councillor Loiacono is moving here, and I hope that other councillors do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? If not, I'll go to the mover to close.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to say that I do think these changes are measured and fair. I don't think they change the overall intent of the policy, nor do they create new obligations for the city. I think they improve clarity, consistency and equity across the board, and it just assures that our policy better aligns with the diverse range of community organisations that operate within the city of Bayswater. So thanks.
I'll now put this to the vote. All those in favour? That is Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Ostrzowski, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Ladder, Councillor Black, Councillor McDonald and myself. All those against? Deputy Mayor, that is carried. Okay, the next item is 10.5.1.3.4, new local planning policy, short-term rental accommodation. Councillor Ladder, you've pulled this one. And Councillor Black needs to leave the room. So are you moving this?
No, someone else can move it. I just wanted to make sure I could speak.
It got pulled? Okay. Would anyone like to pull this? Councillor Ostrzowski. And are you moving officer's recommendation?
Yeah, with the amendment that I provided as well, please.
So councillors, you've all been provided your run sheets with the amendment from Councillor Ostrzowski. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pittaway. Councillor Ostrzowski.
Thank you very much, everyone, for listening to me tonight. I think the city has worked a fair bit on this policy and has heard a lot of feedback through consultation, but also from councillors as well. And I'm of the opinion that this policy is a good starting point for us on how we manage unhosted short-term rental accommodations. this isn't the only time that we will get to look at this policy. We will get other opportunities to bring this policy back if we want. The city also is able to indicate to council that they may be finding there are issues with the policy as it is, and the city can also recommend that council relook at the policy if we need. So I think this is a good start, and it gets us on the journey to managing these unhosted short-term rental accommodations. Last month's council meeting, and again this month as well, we've heard a lot about sensitive land uses and unhosted short-term rental accommodations adjacent to sensitive land uses, and I would call sensitive land uses places like schools, childcare centres. And I know that there has been a concern from the community that we're not doing enough around how we're managing unhosted short-term rental accommodations near these sensitive land uses such as schools. And I've read the policy, and I am satisfied that within the policy, under the sections that talk about amenity and locational considerations, and I've confirmed this also with the city, that the wording in the proposed policy provides sufficient basis for impacts on adjacent sensitive land uses like schools and childcare centres to be appropriately managed through the required operational management plan and conditions of approval or refusal where impacts cannot be managed. So I think the policy does attend to sensitive land issues, and the city and certainly council has also heard on numerous occasions now how important child safety is and children's safety is within the community. So I think the city's heard, I think the council's heard, and I think this policy has the wording in it to ensure that as a first step, we will be managing those sensitive land uses. And again, it can be changed if we're finding that that it isn't adequate enough. In regarding the consultation with my amendment, I have asked for property owners directly opposite an unhosted STRA to be notified and consulted with when an STRA, unhosted STRA, is being proposed. I think it's only fair, and I would think about living in my own house and looking out to the property directly opposite me. I would also want to know if that was an unhosted STRA, and I would like an opportunity to comment on that. And additionally, the neighbour on the right and the neighbour on the left as well. So I think it's only fair that all residential properties abutting and directly opposite an unhosted STRA are given an opportunity to provide their feedback so that they can let the city know how they could potentially have their amenity impacted. The deputy who spoke last week, Tamina, and then also asked questions tonight, I met with her yesterday and we had a great chat, and it was a really good chat, so thank you very much for meeting with me. And there is just a concern again around the way that we do consultation. All of the STRAs, the unhosteds that we have in the city, were asked to provide their feedback on the policy. But it is disappointing that all of those landowners abutting each of those STRAs weren't offered the same direct contact from the city so that they could also provide their feedback, considering they are adjacent to those STRAs, the unhosted ones. I do understand it was on Engage Bayswater. I do understand it was on the city's website. I do understand that we have our usual ways of doing consultation, but not everyone is always paying attention to those modes of communication. So I think if we're doing this type of consultation in the future, that every adjacent landowner, including those opposite an unhosted STRA, should also be consulted on to provide feedback in the policy in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pittaway.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, and I'd like to thank Councillor Ostrowski for these amendments. I think, you know, from listening to, and I appreciate and thank Tamina and Matthew for the conversations we had during the week as well. As much as we'd like to take some of these, you know, amendments further, we understand this is, you know, based around state legislation when people come and want to change their dwellings to short-term rental accommodation. But I think the one thing that Councillor Ostrzowski's highlighted is that the consultation process doesn't often extend wide enough, and that was some of the feedback we heard through deputations last week. So I think that's a great amendment to make. And speaking to the officers, obviously they're acutely aware of how we feel about particular developments like we saw at the last council meeting, and aware of when these development proposals do change in terms of going from one proposal to another, that all items are considered, so we can avoid certain situations that we faced in that last particular one in the last council meeting. So I appreciate it, and I will definitely support this motion, amended motion.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Latta.
Thank you. First of all, I do want to thank the officers for their work on this. I think that where they've come to is as strong a policy as they could create within the frameworks that we're working within. And nothing that I'm going to say tonight is any reflection on the work of the officers, but I'm incredibly frustrated at this planning system that we are working within, particularly around short-term rental accommodation. I'm really concerned about the commercialisation of housing, particularly in the middle of a housing crisis. I am frustrated that we do not have the levers, or that the levers that we might want are not supported within the planning system. I'm particularly concerned that around sensitive land uses, I'm concerned about the removal of the requirement to get approval from a strata for the development application. I think that that's going to push compliance onto neighbours and stratas in order to, if somebody applying for a development application doesn't go through that process. I'm concerned about clusters of short-term rentals in particular locations and the balance within neighbourhoods. I think that everybody deserves to have neighbourhoods and neighbours and communities, and I think that the proliferation of short-term rentals damages that quite significantly. And I definitely understand and see that the number of short-term rentals in our community is relatively low, less than 1%, but also the number of rentals, like long-term rentals in our community, is also fairly low, I think around 30% or so. So 1% I think is a significant amount of that. I think I'm the only person on council who is a renter, and I get emails and have conversations with people constantly about the issues that they're facing in the housing crisis, and their frustration at seeing potential long-term housing commercialised through short-term rental accommodation. So I'm not going to support the policy here tonight, but I will of course diligently apply it to anything that comes to council in the future if it is passed. But yeah, I'm very frustrated at the state framework for short-term rentals and the lack of levers available to us.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Although I'm speaking for, I actually certainly echo Councillor Latter's comments just now. What the city can't do is opt out of the state's STRA permissibility, as it obviously flows from the planning schemes. If we wanted to ban it altogether, we would not be able to do so. And we're basically making the bed that the state has made. The officers have improved on this policy, and I commend them for that, and I will be voting for it begrudgingly.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Sutherland.
Yeah, look, I'm the same with this. I'd like to thank all the deputations and the comments on this item, especially Tamina and Matthew's advocacy on this. It was obvious this was an important issue that came to light through the Mangini Street application last month. And the concerns have been raised around the management standards, and the community consultation were the two biggest obviously the two biggest issues. I'm happy to support the amendment here, increasing the consultation, and in my opinion, this came through loud and clear by the community. I just want to address some of the other ones too about other doubts. It's important to recognise that short-term rental accommodation has recently undergone comprehensive statewide reform, and it's establishing a clear regulatory structure that is now firmly in place and here to stay. The city's scheme amendment now aligns with the updated framework, ensuring that applications and ongoing operations will be managed more effectively and transparently moving forward. And I think that's the key for the local community. The other thing for those that are thinking against this, you've got to realise we are an inner city council. We're close to an airport now with the train station, and we are a big city. WA's now just got over the 3 million mark, and like most big cities, they have Airbnb and they do live next to those. So these are things that are going to happen. We're not Margaret River, we're not Bustleton. I can't see that being a big issue there here like it is down there. And obviously they've got to take different steps because it's a different clientele, more tourism. But I do think there is a need for this in the local community because, as I keep saying, people come from the bush, they need somewhere to stay. Airbnb does not take business away from hotels because people that use those will never go to the Ritz or the Crown, etc., etc. So I think this is, you know, a good start. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll just I'll say a few words because when this initially came to council back in December 2025 for council consideration to advertise it, I voted against it at that time. So I want to explain that at the time I voted against it because at that point in time I shared a lot of the same concerns that were raised by Councillor Latta this evening, and I thought maybe we can be the city that has no short-term accommodation and move that. So that's why I voted against it and leave it to other areas. But since that point in time, I've been hearing from people, as well as the deputies who are here this evening, but I've been hearing from people about housing diversity and housing options and why that's important. And there was a lot of emphasis around this type of housing option being or bringing in antisocial behaviour into communities, and that certainly is a risk. But there's also the need for these type of short-term rentals, and they go up to 90 days. So it's 3 months. It's not necessarily, you know, a couple of days here and there. And there's people in our community, such as people fleeing domestic violence, who need somewhere to stay, an immediate housing option. There's people waiting for their homes to be built, who the builders have taken a really long time and they've either sold their property or they've, you know, they need that interim measure until their permanent home is available. There's family visiting from interstate and overseas, and this actually impacted my family in the last month, where a relative who's originally from Newcastle had an unexpected medical emergency. And all his family, his children, his parents, his sister, they all live in Newcastle, and they all had to come over within an hour because it was a life or death situation. And they needed, there was 6 of them, and they needed somewhere to stay, and his house wasn't capable of, you know, hosting that many people. So they needed somewhere in suburbia to be close to their son, who was undergoing, you know, that medical emergency. There's renters who get evicted with short notice, who need interim housing. There's the immigrants who are arriving that don't have yet permanent residency. And there's people needing to be close to a hospital. In Mount Lawley, within the city of Bayswater, we have what's going to be the newest public hospital in the state, and people come to public hospitals for surgery and procedures, and they don't necessarily live anywhere nearby, and they need to be close to their medical facilities. So there's a whole lot of reasons why housing diversity like this, I can't just say a blanket no, which was my first view on this, is that there is a need. And as has been mentioned by other councillors, it is such a small proportion. We're not Dunsborough, we're not Margaret River. There aren't a lot of tourists necessarily coming to check out our, tourist locations that are staying here for really long times. In Noranda, so they're not coming to Noranda for that. So there is a need for diversity, and for that reason, I will be supporting this. So I'll now go to the mover to close.
Thank you, everyone, for participating. And I just wanted to reiterate again that this is not our last bite of the cherry, so to speak, in terms of looking after this policy and making any improvements in the future if we so need to. Thank you.
I'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Sosowski, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland, Deputy Mayor, Councillor McDonald and myself. All those against? Councillor Ladder. That is carried. And can we get Councillor Black back in the room? For your information, Councillor Black, that item was carried. So that concludes the item that was subject to deputations, and we'll now move to consideration of the reports in section 10 that have been withdrawn by councillors or require an absolute majority, with the first one being 10.1.1, annual review of the delegations. No one's pulled this. Do I have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor Sutherland, seconded Councillor Ladder. Councillor Sutherland, anything? Councillor Ladder? Anyone wish to speak against? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Sosowski, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Ladder, Councillor Black, Councillor McDonald and myself. All those against? Deputy Mayor. That is carried. The next item is 10.2.4, rate exemption, 29 Cranley Street, Morley. Councillor Sutherland, you pulled this.
Yeah, I won't vote on it.
Oh, okay, you've pulled to vote against. Moved by Councillor Ladder, seconded Councillor Black. Councillor Ladder, anything?
Just that this organisation fits within the requirements for an exemption. So,
Councillor Black?
Nothing.
Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Sutherland?
I'll say it like I always do, because someday I wonder someone will listen. I don't agree with this, and it's not because it's... I'll just give it. This property is currently used now by a not-for-profit organisation, but remains owned by the Department of Housing, and the Department of Housing has a capacity to pay rates. Providing an exemption in these circumstances effectively shifts costs onto other ratepayers and contributes to a significant shortfall, with the city already foregoing approximately $1 million in rates for similar arrangements. It's totally ridiculous. Now, I know that I'm not talking about this organisation or any of these not-for-profit, but there has to come a time when we, not just us, but other councils say enough's enough. The Department of Housing owns this, they should be paying for it. They've got more money than we have.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? For? Just in response, I'll be supporting this. Whilst I agree with the sentiments from Councillor Sutherland, this is outside of our discretion. This is what the law says that we need to do. So for that reason, I'll be supporting it. You can ask a question.
If we've got to do this, why does it come to the council? And I know it's our policy, but what is the rationale for it coming to the council?
I'll go to the director.
Through you, Madam Mayor, Council has delegated authority to the CEO to apply rates exemption, but specifically excludes those for charitable purposes. So if Council wishes for the administration to take this on through the CEO, we would just need to make that explicit in the delegation that all the components are sub-delegated to the CEO.
Okay, thanks. That would suit me. My blood boils when I see this, so I'd rather not see it.
Okay. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll go the mover to close.
I'll just reiterate that the conditions are specified in the Local Government Act, so it is what it is.
I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Latta, Councillor Latta, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Black, Councillor McDonald and myself. All those against? Councillor Osazowski and Councillor Sutherland. That is carried. The next one is 10.2.5, Schedule of Proposed Fees and Charges for 26-27. Do I have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor Loiacono, seconded Councillor Black. Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Black.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. All I'll say is seeing the fees and charges schedule for this year, it's good to see that a lot of those increases are quite minimal, especially in regards to some of those activities and programs that are more suited towards our older residents and for youth as well. It's important for them, in my mind, to have a connection to their community and to the residents that they share those programs with as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? If not, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. The next item is 10.3.4, the tender for Riverside Gardens Play Space. Councillor Black, you've pulled this. Are you moving officer's recommendation?
I am, Madam Mayor.
Seconder, Councillor Latta, Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep my comments brief on this one. I think it's really exciting to see a new play space for Riverside Gardens. I know the community's been waiting for this one for a while as well. What I'm most buoyed about is the fact that the design takes into consideration different needs. So some kids like sand, some kids like softball there. Softball is actually, as I understand it, more accepting or more accommodating of kids with disabilities or those with disabilities using those play spaces as well. It's one of our, I think, our most premier play spaces in the city as well. My child loves it, but I think she would love to see a more improved one, especially in regards to shade considerations as well, which I know is very important in this design and important for me in not using as much sunscreen and she doesn't like wearing a hat, so it'd be good to see that. So I support it and I welcome it and I look forward to seeing it built.
Thank you, Councillor Latta.
Thank you. I'm very excited to see a timeline for this in the report and very excited to see such a quality design going into that space. An excellent use of public open space cash in lieu funds, and I think that there are a lot of people in the community that are going to be very excited to see this completed. I've been fielding questions from people for a couple of years now about when that particular playground is getting renewed. So very much looking forward to seeing it happen.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Yeah. Oh, Councillor Pittaway.
I don't wish to speak against it. Yeah, I remember my two boys play down there and it's got fond memories. And I know with this motion that it was tendered, and I might be a negative nanny, but I'm still gazumped by how things cost $740,000 when if I looked up Webb, Brown and Neves, I could have a 2 double-storey house with all the fruit and bells on it and somehow a place and it's $740,000, but maybe I'm out of touch. But anyway, that's all I'll say about it.
Councillor Latta has a question.
Thank you. Just in the report, it says that the additional funding was requested from the public open space cash in lieu previously, and it seemed to take maybe 6 months before we received that money. So if we're now requesting the rest of it, are we able to still fund it on time, or do we need to wait until that is released to us?
I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, I believe in terms of the timing, we can commence the project, and by the time the approvals come through for the last payments, at the worst case scenario, the final payment will be covered. Yeah.
Anyone wish to speak in favour? Anyone wish to speak against? I'll go to the mover to close. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. The next item is 10.4.1, Planning Excellence Program. Councillor Sutherland.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment.
Are you moving the officer's
sorry.
recommendation?
Yes, definitely.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Latta. Councillor Sutherland.
Look, usually I don't pull these ones, but I think this is an important one, and I'd like to thank the director and the team for their leadership in developing these initiatives. I feel these 12 initiatives in the program will be obviously lead to more efficient and customer-focused programs. They will streamline processes, enable faster, more consistent decision-making for applicants. More importantly, they free up the officers focused on look at more strategic work. For example, the Land Activation Initiative will allow officers to engage directly with landholders to better understand and unlock underutilised sites, helping to bring valuable land onto more productive use. And I think this will be a great initiative for the city. I really hope everyone gets behind it, and I look forward to seeing the progress that's made in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Latta.
Yeah, I just want to echo that. I was really excited to see this in the agenda. I think that it is a really smart and common sense way to approach many things that can benefit from streamlining in the city and improve our use of staff time and resources. So I'm really pleased to see these initiatives and look forward to seeing what it's like when they are in place.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just some quick comments. I think our planning team is doing an excellent job. There's one thing in particular in this report that I want to highlight here, and that's the Book a Planner sessions. I've actually used this session myself to get some planning advice that I just needed to wrap my head around, and I found the session to be extremely valuable. I understood completely what I needed to do and what was needed to be lodged. I think what the planning team and what the director is doing through his leadership of that team is excellent. Every now and then I get a residents either directly getting in touch with me, or I see on the community group saying, I don't know what I need to do to build this shed, or I don't know what I need to do to do this little extension here and there. And the first thing I say, and what I always say, is, why don't you have a chat to one of the planners? Book a planner. It's free. It's 20 minutes. You can do it in person or over the phone on Teams. I think it's a fantastic initiative that the city has put in, and I think it really adds value to what we are doing in enabling us being open for business, open for renovations, open for residents to improve their home as well. And I hope that this excellence here is being recognised as well by external stakeholders as well, whether that's through peak bodies or through higher levels of government as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm just very happy, whether you call it streamlining or red tape reduction or anything like that, it's modernization. There's a lot of use of the word customer service. It's a great initiative. I hope it goes further in the future. And I think the planning department does a fantastic job.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll go the mover to close.
No, I think it's all been said before. No, well done. Thank you.
I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. The next one is 10.5.1.1.1, 2026 Policy Review Schedule Report. Councillor Loiacono, you've pulled this?
Yes.
You're moving the officer's recommendation?
With an amendment, please.
Yeah, as per
on the run sheet.
on the run sheet. Councillors, you've all been provided that. It's an additional limb. So Councillor Loiacono is moving. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pittaway. Councillor Loiacono.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This was sparked after receiving a number of residents contacting me regarding the current policy and the compliance action currently being taken under it. I believe it's our responsibility to listen when residents raise genuine concerns and ensure these concerns are properly considered through the policy review process. I think residents expect council to listen, to be responsive and to be prepared to review its policies when legitimate issues are raised. I think policies should not remain untouched when residents are raising concerns, community expectations are changing, and more importantly, technology is continuing to evolve.
Thank you. Councillor Pittaway.
No, I think I'll leave it as.
Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Ladder.
Can I ask a question of the mover? Of what I would just like to understand what the concerns are, what elements of the policy.
So she can address that in closing. Yeah.
Well, I think if I don't understand what it's for, then I can't support it. I would like to. It was only revised 2 years ago, and so I would like to understand what the purpose of bringing it forward for review now is, and what elements of the policy are not working, because I haven't heard anything.
So I'm just having a look if there's a reason for change. So there's a reason for change provided in the run sheet.
It just says concerns raised by residents. It doesn't state what concerns or what elements of the policy it refers to.
I'll go to the mover if they're wanting to answer that now, or whether they're going to address that in closing.
No, I'm happy to address it now. There's massive community concerns in relation to all the street verge policy treatments, mainly artificial turf. I think it's important. I mean, I can close now.
No,
What do I do?
no, don't close, because we haven't finished debate. Councillor Ladder.
Thank you. That's enough for me. I don't support revising that element of the policy, so I won't support this.
Anyone wish to speak in favour? Anyone wish to speak against? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
Thank you. I think it's important to note and remember that things that didn't work for us years, months, weeks ago, with advancements in technology, product, etc., it's moving forward. And I think when these policies specifically target a product that continues to grow, move, get better, it's silly of us to not have those policies grow, move and get better with them. And that's all I'm asking to do, is to make sure that that policy still applies to the current situation out there in the community. I really do believe that policies shouldn't remain untouched when residents are raising concerns. I also think that if we don't review this policy, we do have a risk of reputational damage to the city if we don't have, at the very least, review it. And to conclude, look, no changes are required. All I'm asking is for our policy committee to have a look at it sooner rather than later. Thanks.
I'll now put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Osazowski, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Sutherland, Councillor McDonald and myself. All those against? Councillor Ladder, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Black. That is carried. The next item is 10.5.1.2.3, Policy Review Footpath. Councillor Black, you've pulled this. You're moving officer's recommendation.
I am, Madam Mayor.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Osazowski, Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to make a few comments on this footpath revised policy. One thing to highlight here is a big change to it is the revised prioritisation of footpaths. I do believe that this does result in a better outcome for the community, and that footpaths are better prioritised to where they need to go. I know that certain areas of the district, and from my experiences, especially in West Ward, there are some residents there who feel that they have not been the benefit of footpaths going into their area. And one area in particular that was raised with me was down near River Road there, near the Tonkin Highway. They do need footpaths down there, in my opinion, and hopefully this revised prioritisation, where they do have a significant lack of them, would mean that they may be pushed up the chain there. And I'm looking forward to what the city is able to provide us in terms of what those reprioritised projects look like, especially in the next few budget cycles as well. In saying that, though, we just need to make sure that those projects that are in our long-term financial plan and are being considered, ones that the community do have expectations for, aren't pushed back too far as well, as part of the reprioritisation, especially when there's been indication that they are being funded or being provided for. So that's just want to make sure that we are mindful of that. Another thing I like to see in this policy as well was the preferred footpath alignments moving from away from the verge towards the closer, or say away from the verge and closer to the property line. I think that's a better outcome for pedestrians and cyclists. There are some cons with that, and I know that's those have been shared, but I do believe the overall benefits to pedestrian safety, to amenity as well, and to things like taking out bins and verge trees as well. Those do have significant benefits there. And look, I live on a street where there's a footpath next to the verge, next to the curb, and one that's away from it. I always choose the one away from it. It's just a nicer walk amongst trees, amongst shade. I'm not very close to a road with cars going 60 k's an hour next to me, especially with a pram or a young child walking next to me. It's just safer overall, and it's good to see that change in the policy as well. Lastly, I just want to thank the Active Transport Advisory Group as well and their contribution to this policy as well. The policy committee did ask them to take a look at it, and they did provide some very excellent feedback that I think has been incorporated well into it. So I appreciate their inputs into it, and I support the new policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sazowski.
I agree with the comments that Councillor Black has made, and I'm also very grateful that Council has gone on this journey in regards to footpaths, increasing funding, and coming up with methodologies for how we are going to put new footpaths down. We are an inner city suburb. We are becoming more dense. We will have more population, and there will be an extra need for people to be able to get around easily by foot. So I'm really happy that this footpath policy and the whole footpath program has grown into a really beautiful project.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll just say a few words because I have differing views on this, but I am going to support this because I think that the majority of the changes made are better changes than what we already have. And I'm particularly referring to the requirements for cul-de-sacs, the changes that have been made around that I agree with, and I think, is definitely required. But I just want to highlight for the record that whilst there are benefits in moving the footpath away from the curb line to closer to the properties, there are benefits. I think they're more aesthetic. It does provide easier access for bins, and I do think it's somewhat, it's nicer to walk away from the traffic than it is right up against the traffic. But I do want to flag that there will be issues to people's crossovers. So if you have a driveway right now and it barely fits your vehicles on the driveway, because the smaller lots we get, the smaller distance there is from your property boundary to the road, and then a footpath being put in, you're going to have less space to park your car on your property because you cannot park your car over that obstructs a footpath. So whilst it says here in the table on page 425, it says that the updated preferred footpath alignment requirements minimise conflicts associated with verge parking, waste collection and bin placement, and improve pedestrian safety and accessibility. I hope there will be consideration given to that alignment of the footpath in the future if we get feedback from residents in certain areas who will be significantly impacted by the reduction in space to their own driveways. So I hope there will be a flexible approach from the city and just not hardline knows that's what we're doing. And that's what I like to see across all of our policies is agile, flexible, common sense application of policies. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I appreciate your comments there. I know that we don't necessarily share the exact same methodology here and our approach, but I appreciate that's I think for the greater benefit of what the policy brings. I appreciate that you are supporting that, and I do understand as well that there may be some instances where that is a challenge for residents. But noting the policy mentions where practical footpaths shall be located along or near the property boundary, I think where practicable is doing some of that lifting there where you've mentioned there. So I think being flexible is important as a city, but noting this is where our preference lies in terms of the footpath. So yeah, very happy to support it. Thank you.
I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Next item is 10.5.1.3.3, new local planning policy, development approval exemptions. Councillor Sutherland, are you moving this?
Yes, I am.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Loiacono. Councillor Sutherland.
Yeah, keeping with my planning approval theme tonight, I'm happy to support this new policy. In my opinion, it presents several good outcomes for both the community and local government. By streamlining these approval processes for low-impact developments, it will hopefully enable faster approvals, reduce costs and timelines, and additionally, clear and well-defined exemptions provide greater certainty and transparency for property owners and developers, encouraging appropriate development that aligns with up-to-date planning objectives. Overall, such policies, in my opinion, support better economic activity, improved efficiency and contribute to more effective planning systems.
Thank you. Councillor Loiacono. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Okay, so we'll now move to adopt the remaining items in section 10 en bloc.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. Didn't anyone pull 10.2.6? Differential rates.
No.
I would like to pull it, please.
Okay.
Against.
Do I have, are you moving the officer's recommendation?
No, I would like to vote against, please.
Okay, do I have someone who'd like to move this? Councillor McDonald. Seconder, Councillor Black. Councillor McDonald. Nothing?
Better say something. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'm a supporter of this for sure. I've come around to differential rates, certainly when promoting long-term vacant properties from remaining vacant.
Thank you. Councillor Black.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, no one likes levying rates in the community, but I think what we've come to as a council here is probably the most appropriate method here. The increases to vacant property, including residential and commercial industrial, I believe is an incentive to do something with that land. We do want to see something done with our vacant land in the city. This is our one way to actually incentivise, or I guess disincentivise certain behaviours, and that's what we do want to see, because a vacant lot just doesn't do a lot for the community, unfortunately. And there are quite a few examples that I think just about every single resident who's listening tonight or in the chamber can actually point to as a vacant lot, and I can point to one probably couple of houses down from me. It's been vacant for a very long time. It can maybe fit something like 15 residents there, and it's not. So I think ways that we can incentivise that through rates levying is important. I do appreciate that some residents do see the rates increase for them for residential to be difficult, but I think most importantly through the budget process, I do believe that we are doing what we can in terms of making the best use of those, and we don't take that decision lightly. I do not think so. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. Yeah, look, I raised concerns all along the process about having rate increase of what is proposed is 5.5% on residential and commercial above CPI. This is not something I can support when so many are struggling, including businesses. I don't think this is the time to add new FTEs and add new projects that are unnecessary, and we can further discuss it next month at the budget meeting. So I will not support it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in favour? Councillor Pittaway?
Yeah, I do agree with Deputy Mayor, and I have, laid out my concerns regarding the increases. Although I'm not against differential rates in that proposal. Sorry.
Yep, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. It's more around my objection to the actual rate increase.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in favour? Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Sutherland?
I just want to make a comment on the vacant land, and I agree. I don't like it either, and I mean, we know all about the Coles, the so-called Coles, famous Coles property down on Guildford Road. But unfortunately, what we have in WA is we don't have enough trades. We've got a supply issue. You can't just say you've got to build. We're going to build. We're going to get these things. I tried to build. I had a place in Karrinyup. I would love to build my house, property. It's just too hard, so I sold the property. But I did keep it for a long time, and I went, oh, you know what? It's getting too hard. I'll sell it. But some of these big properties, they're not going to, and I just don't. I did before, but I think after listening to what happened at Vincent, I just can't get my head around this. And also, we've just. Yeah, anyway, I could go on and on about this, but that's just something I want to bring up, that I do think that it is really hard to get people to actually build things in Perth now, especially with all the infrastructure as well going up.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in favour? Anyone wish to speak against? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of differential rates. I don't think any of us are supportive of 5.5%, 5.9%. We all hate it. This is about differential rates in particular. I'm very supportive of, if you're sitting on a property for 10 years, whether it's residential or commercial, bloody do something with it.
Thank you. I'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Osazowski, Councillor Pittaway, Councillor Latta, Councillor Black, Councillor McDonald and myself. All those against? Councillor Sutherland and the Deputy Mayor. That is carried. So now we'll move to adopt the remaining items in section 10 on block. Moved by Councillor Osazowski, seconded by Councillor Black. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Okay, so we'll now move to notices of motion. 11.1, Councillor Black waiving of fees for electricity charges, Bayswater Playgroup. And I'll just see if there's a seconder. Councillor Black. Councillor Latta, Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, councillors, for letting me move this motion this evening. You'll see before you there are 4 limbs as part of this motion, and I just want to quickly step you through those. Limbs 1 and 4 are mostly linked, and they refer to waiving the requirement for the leaseholder to pay electricity utility expenses associated with 2 Hudson Street for the remainder of this financial year and the 26-27 financial year as well. Lim 4 is linked to that because it notes that the purpose of this temporary waiver of electricity charges is to provide short-term financial assistance to the Bayswater Playgroup, while a longer-term reduction in operating costs is pursued through the installation of renewable energy infrastructure. These 2 limbs in particular provide the playgroups with a leg up and breathing space when they are at the moment feeling the pinch with financial pressure. This provides a time-limited reprieve. It provides just over 1 year reprieve, where it gives them the opportunity to work out how to implement greater fundraising objectives, to concentrate on growing their membership numbers, and to concentrate on financial sustainability as well. The city has assisted other organisations when they are found in similar circumstances, and it's not the exact same circumstances or it's not the exact same approach, but the city has. And it has also happened in other local government areas as well, as outlined in some of the correspondence that you've received from Bayswater Playgroup this week as well. In particular, the Shire of Mundaring has granted the First Friends Playgroup a 1 year reprieve from all charges following financial hardship caused by low membership numbers and rising utility costs. I think that's important to note there. Limbs 2 and 3 are linked as well, and they request the CEO to investigate and implement the installation of solar PV systems at 2 Hudson Street, and authorises the use of the Climate Action Reserve as well. I think it's really important here to note that the Climate Action Reserve has approximately, and I haven't looked exactly, but it's approximately $3.3 million in it, and there has the use of the funds for reducing carbon emissions in the city, especially on our facilities, community facilities, as a core feature of it. This is a small amount to be considered as part of that reserve. If I use that rough $3.3 million figure, it's about 0.18% of the reserve being used for this purpose. I'd like to see this Climate Action Reserve used more, and this is a good example of where I would like to see it used. Unfortunately, the property in particular requires roof repairs to support solar panels as well. If I could get the solar panels next month on there, I would love that, and that would be of direct benefits to the club, to the organisations. Unfortunately, necessary roof repairs and other maintenance does require that work to be undertaken before solar panels can go onto the site. The officer's comments state that this is expected to be around June 2027. So this does provide a reprieve while a longer term solution is installed as part of this facility as well. I just want to highlight a little bit on precedent as well. And as I said before, this doesn't come without precedent. We have assisted other organisations within the city when they have had financial difficulty as well. And as I said before, it's not exactly the same, but there have been circumstances. We don't always act with precedent. We do without. We're not relying on case law here. We're not judges in the High Court. We're here to, I think, in my perspective, we're here to serve the community and to provide support to the community as well. And so when one of those groups does come to us and says that they are feeling the imminent financial collapse, I would believe that the city and the council are here to be that last resort. And while there may be some commentary around, I guess, responsibilities of certain aspects of the fees and charges, that's a part of our community lease policy, and as an extension, what these groups are liable for. I do believe that we don't advocate from our responsibility where a group is seeking assistance and a short-term reprieve from those, that we are here to help and support. And at the end of the day, they are asking for around $2,000. I think that's a small amount to provide a group that provides a significant service to the community, around 100 families, 80% of those which self-report to be from the city of Bayswater in particular. I think it's really important to provide their support to them as well. Unfortunately, the solar installation can't wait for future budget processes. As the officer's comment states, it's beyond the 10-year Forward Capital Works program as well. So it's going to come far too late to assist them, especially when we are considering that our next budget cycle is probably happening a bit too far away for that. So I really hope that we can support these organisations. I hope we can provide that assistance. And when other organisations do find themselves in similar positions where they are imminently looking at collapse, I do believe that the city can play a role in that. What that looks like, it could be something like this, or it could be something that the council can explore in the future as to how we could help provide that without requiring a decision. So I'll wrap up now, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Latta.
Thank you. I think this is a really modest and reasonable proposal, considering the situation that we've heard the Bayswater Playgroup is in. It provides a brief temporary reprieve whilst also implementing a longer term solution to their problem. I also have some sympathy because I think that this lease renewal happened under like a little bit of pressure around that particular building. For those who weren't on council at the time, there were other circumstances around it, and I think I was reassured to hear about the things that Bayswater Playgroup is putting in place to improve their situation. I really value the work that Bayswater Playgroup and Casimir Montessori volunteers do for our community. I think that these are essential not just for young people, but actually for parents at some of the most isolating kind of moments of their life. I think it's important for community wellbeing, mental health, community cohesion, all of those things. So the upfront cost is modest. I think it's an appropriate use of the Climate Action Fund reserve. It's what it was designed for. And actually, I think we should be rolling solar out to as many facilities as we can. I think that that is an appropriate use of that fund and returns great benefit to the community in terms of emissions and costs to community groups.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Loiacono. So from now on, councillors, the presiding member directs who's talking. So Councillor Loiacono.
Sorry, thanks, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I get it. I think everyone around the table gets it, and I get the sentiment behind Councillor Black's motion. Having listened to the deputations and read the submissions from Casimir and the Bayswater Playgroup, it's not that I do not understand what's being asked of us tonight. I understand the important role that both organisations play in our community, but I feel that way about all of our many community groups that call the City of Bayswater home and provide valuable services to local families. The electricity charges in question are not fees imposed by the city. They are charges levied by Synergy under state government arrangements. In effect, this motion asks the city and its ratepayers to subsidise a state government cost. This is a principle I'm struggling to reconcile. Our local members of parliament are well aware that community organisations are facing increasing operating costs. The MPs have direct access to ministers, state funding programs and decision makers responsible for these costs. Yet instead of using that influence to secure meaningful relief for these organisations that they represent, we too often see the issues handed back to local government and ultimately local ratepayers. And also, while solar panels is they're appealing at first glance, it raises the same fundamental issue. If the underlying problem is the cost burden created by state government electricity charges and policies, why should local ratepayers be expected to fund capital works to compensate for that? Whether it's paying a power bill directly or funding infrastructure to reduce it, the principle remains the same. The cost is ultimately being shifted from the level of government responsible to the issue onto local government and local ratepayers. And I don't believe this is an appropriate or sustainable approach. Local governments are not a convenient backstop for every funding shortfall or policy failure of the state government. When community groups are struggling with costs created by the state government settings, I would expect our elected state reps to be advocating for solutions at the source rather than directing them to ratepayers to fill the gap. I am also concerned about the precedent this sets. The city's lease arrangements require tenants to meet their own utility costs. If we choose to subsidise the electricity costs of one organisation today, it becomes increasingly difficult to justify refusing similar requests from other community groups tomorrow. There are many sporting clubs, community organisations and not-for-profit groups across our city that face the same financial pressures, large and small, and I do not believe it's equitable to provide assistance to one group while expecting others to continue meeting their obligations under their lease agreements, and that's why I can't support the motion.
Thank you. Are you speaking for Councillor McDonald?
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I jumped a little too quick there.
That's okay.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I just want to note this costs 2 cents per resident to waive $2,000 in electricity for them for 1 year on a set period of time as well. This is not an indefinite request. We're installing solar for them potentially, assisting them with that long term. But in the short term, to assist a vulnerable small group that I want to see as a part of our community, 2 cents per resident.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Pittaway?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, again, I just go and I sort of echo Councillor Loiacono's comments there. I think this sets a dangerous precedent, and I'm not comfortable with that. Where we can waive a fee that we can control is we try to do that. But, sort of trying to waive utility bills that we have zero control over, I think lacks good governance as a councillor and as a council. So that is the main issue I have with that, because I think it sets a bad precedent and others will follow. And it's not that I've spoken to Kathy from the playgroup today, and she's heard my sentiments around this. I'm a father of 2 children. I do understand. I have raised 2 children. I understand the need for these groups in our community. I don't want to be seen as a harsh, heartless councillor because I'm not approving waiving fees. That's not our responsibility in that sense. The responsibility does fall back to, to maintain your business and we waive a lot of fees. So it's just about obviously trying to raise funds if you can. And I understand everyone's under pressure. I've been vice president of clubs. I've raised plenty of money and it is hard, but you can rally. I'm actually this Saturday helping the Bayswater Childcare Association flip sausages at Bayswater Bunnings, so I'm happy to get involved. I'm happy to help if that's what it takes. I just don't find waiving fees is the solution. And as far as 2 Hudson Street is concerned, we are aware that there is remedial works that need to be taken need to happen on that property. So as much as I want to sort of, rush through a solo photovoltaic system solar, it's putting the cart before the horse. So, we need to fix the roof. We need to do whatever it needs to do, and it's listed in the council report what we need to do to that building. So we can't put in solar before we get those things done. And because I know it's within the next financial year, but obviously you'd want to see those things done first, because that would be a waste of money and time if we put solar on a roof that we need to fix anyway. So that's the other problem with that. And yeah, so I think that's kind of where I sit with that. And I hope the playgroup can survive, and I hope that, and I offer any assistance, that I can help you with. But I think waiving of fees for me just sets a bad precedent for all the other clubs and associations out there. Thank you. And why I won't support the motion.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in favour? Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Sadowski?
I just wanted to raise and just bring to everyone's attention that the city has several other programs available to community groups for funding. So we do have a donations program where organisations can get up to $200 from the city as a donation. We also have a donation program where organisations and groups can apply for waivers of fees and charges. So we already have budgets set aside for this. We also have donations available for groups to get an amount up to $5,000 for them to be able to run events which support bringing in extra revenue and income into their organisations. So the city has a donations available for that as well. But also there are many organisations out in the community and business groups as well who are willing to provide support to community groups. And I recall fondly a couple of years ago when we were doing the expansion of the Bayswater Men's Shed, one of our local real estate companies donated some funds towards that expansion. So I know that there are companies out there who are willing to sponsor our local organisations. So I think there are opportunities for the tenants at 2 Hudson Street to be able to find some extra opportunities for fundraising to raise their own revenue, to increase their memberships. So at this stage, I won't be supporting this motion.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in favour? Anyone wish to speak against? I have a question for the Director of Finance. This motion, one of the limbs, refers to use of the Climate Action Fund Reserve. Can you explain to me, in the report it talks about the purpose, so can you explain to me why reserves have purposes, and are those purposes required under legislation for each of the reserves?
Yes, Madam Mayor. It's part of the financial management regulations that if council sets aside money in a reserve, it must be for a specific purpose, and having that defined is so that we make sure any allocations to or from that reserve match the intent of that purpose.
Thank you. So I'm going to speak against this, and the reason I'm speaking against this is I have real concerns around the governance of this actual motion itself. So I raised last week the fact that this motion, even in the title, refers to Bayswater Playgroup. In Limb 4, it refers to Bayswater Playgroup. Yet the city does not have any lease agreement with the Bayswater Playgroup, and the Bayswater Playgroup is not the Synergy account holder for this building. Therefore, in my opinion, the whole governance around this, I don't see this as being valid for Bayswater Playgroup. If it said Casamia, it would be different, but it says Bayswater Playgroup, so I don't agree that this is actually correct in that instance. It also, in Limb 3, says authorises the use of the Climate Action Fund for this, with the purpose of, providing temporary, the whole purpose of this is to provide, waiver of electricity charges. I think there's a real lack of understanding about reserves and how reserves actually work, because the report specifically states that the purpose of the Climate Action Reserve is to fund the Environmental Livability Framework, Emission Reduction and Renewable Energy Plan, riverbank restoration, living streams and environmental initiatives, fleet transition to EVs, and upgrading and renewing city buildings and facilities in a way that is decarbonising. The fund can be used to fund solar installations on city-owned buildings. However, it should not be used to subsidise utility expenses. This will be expensed to the building operations budget. So this reserve is not to subsidise utility expenses. Any savings go back into the building operations budget. That's the purpose of the reserve under the financial management regulations as set by council. So if you want to change the purpose, that needs to be a different, you can't just say we're going to do this. It has to be for the purpose of which, it's like me saying, I want to have a notice of motion to use the money from our waste reserve to put on a Christmas party. You can't do that. You can't use that money for that purpose. And that's all I'm going to say about this. It's around the governance issues notwithstanding my previous comments about waiving of utility charges. Anyone else wish to speak to this? Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify because that paragraph that you just read out, I understood that to be the city explaining that if the electricity expenses were waived for this next year, that waiver comes out of the building operations budget, but that it was appropriate for the Climate Action Reserve to be used for the purpose of installing solar on that building. Can I get clarification?
Yeah, I'll go
from
to the
city on that?
director. In terms of that paragraph.
So so in terms of that particular paragraph, yeah, that was written to say that that the reserve should not be used to cover those expenses of the utilities, but the reserve could be used for the installation of the solar panels.
So therefore, my interpretation is correct.
I don't think the motion says that the fee waiver should come from the Climate Action Reserve.
Anyway, it's Lim 3 saying authorises that and the purpose. So that's how I've interpreted the purpose of the reserve is not to subsidise utility expenses. That's the purpose of the reserve. And for me, I understand this purpose of this motion is to subsidise electricity expenses. And a lot of councillors have made that comment about why it should be installed across lots of community buildings. So I'll go to the mover to close. Okay. Again, I've gone to the mover to close.
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to touch on a few comments that were made during debate there. Comments were made about why residents are shouldering these capital works. These works are already in the Forward Capital Works plan in our as noted in the officer's report. It is beyond the 10 years, but eventually, if, for example, this motion were to not succeed, there will eventually be solar panels on this building according to our Forward Capital Works plan. So I just want to respond to that one there. The second thing is the response around setting a dangerous precedent. And I just want to say that we have, as a council, waived utility fees before, utility charges. We have done it as part of, I believe it was 2019, and that obviously was a change of council decision in 2022, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly. But the council has approved that, and the city has implemented that before. So in terms of setting a dangerous precedent, there is no dangerous precedent that we are setting. We have done this before, and not just this local government. There have been other local governments as well who have done that as well. And I just want to clarify as well that the solar photovoltaic panels would be funded from the Climate Action Fund Reserve. However, the waiver would be from the Building Management Fund. So that reserve money would not be used to fund that short-term $2,000 waiver for that year. That would be from a building management. It's not from the reserve. I just want to clarify that as well. Hopefully, we should be able to support this. I want to make sure that we do support our local groups. This doesn't detract from our other work that we're doing for other community groups in the areas as well. As I understand it, we are all trying to put solar panels everywhere. This doesn't detract from that work as well. And it's a short-term assistance in monetary consideration and long-term assistance in terms of solar infrastructure to a building that houses 2 playgroups that I think do wonderful work for the community, for families. We've seen all the deputations that have been written by a lot of these families who say how important it is. I'm a father of a young family as well. It's insurmountable how you can't quantify the importance of having that connection, especially for a young family who doesn't have any relatives in Perth as well, who they connect to, who they engage with, and what difference that can make for them. So I do implore council to approve this. I do implore council to support it, and I look forward to hopefully seeing it approved. Thank you.
I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Latta, Councillor Black, Councillor McDonald and the Deputy Mayor. All those against? Councillor Loiacono, Councillor Ostrzowski, Councillor Pitaway, Councillor Sutherland and myself. That is lost. So we'll now move to item 12, which is questions from members without notice. Are there any questions? Councillor Ladder.
Thank you. Earlier in the year, there was an issue with the Risers air conditioner, and I just wanted to see, on the playing courts, I just wanted to see what the status of works to that is.
I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, I believe the works were arranged. The exact details and what the outcomes were, I'll need to have a look at that and provide that on notice. Yeah.
Councillor Pitaway.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. It was just from a resident regarding Robert Thompson Reserve and security there in the change rooms. Obviously, with our upgrade of CCTV, he was just wondering, is there a timeline as to when the new CCTV will be implemented at that specific reserve, and where things are at with that?
Go to the director.
Through Madam Mayor, the council recently awarded a tender for a new CCTV renewal program. The city officers have been working to get all of the equipment to do all the final detailed planning, walkthroughs on that. The timeline is that it'll be progressively rolled out, with that concluding at the end of the next financial year.
Councillor Sutherland.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if there's been any update on the Morley Market site. Any, update.
I'll go to the CEO.
Through you, Madam Mayor, no further updates.
Councillor Ostrzowski.
Thank you. This evening we had a gentleman ask some questions around Drake Street and what's happening, the follow-up from the consultation, and we also had Councillor McDonald present a petition. Can the city just provide some information on how many of these types of projects they're currently working on? And I ask this because I have looked back at some emails that I've received regarding the Drake Street matter, and I know the consultation was done with the people in that area. So, where are we up to with getting a result for the people in that area, and how many of these similar types of projects is the city working on? Because it seems to be taking some time to get through these items, not just on Drake Street but Foyle Road as well.
Thank you. I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, I'll have to take that one on notice in terms of how many projects we have. We've got a list. We've got a working group with the design team and the operations teams that go through these projects, and there is a lot of dialogue with the community. Not all ideas work, and we've got to, it takes a bit of time to work through those different ideas to see whether they do work or not work, and we do communicate with those people. So some of those projects do drag on for quite a while, but I can provide a list of similar types of projects that we are working on.
That would be very helpful. And would it be possible to provide some type of time frame for the residents to kind of at least know what the city's thinking about?
I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, it just depends on, are you referring to Drake Street, for example?
Yeah, so the ones that I've been talking with people about and contacting the city about is Drake Street and Foyle Road, but I am aware that there's numerous types of these consultations and discussions and decision making going on within your directorate. I understand that. I just find that the ones around Drake Street and Foyle Road are taking quite some time, and I know that consultation has occurred with the community, and the community is reaching back out, and clearly today we've seen it again, to find out when they're getting the next steps, when are they finding out what those plans are. So those are the two that I'm particularly interested in.
Through the chair, with Drake Street, obviously there's a petition now that's been put through, so there will be a report to council in terms of the status and what's occurring with that and what the next steps are. In terms of some of those other projects, I can provide some timeframes. In a lot of these situations, we do look at the situation, we do run it through the guidelines and the Australian standards, and in many cases, we don't get don't get the answers that the people are expecting to receive, and that's why sometimes some of these are prolonged, because we understand that the people have concerns, and they have, I'd say, valid concerns in terms of their observations and their experiences in those areas, but we can't always address those concerns with just simply by putting in a type of treatment. Those treatments need to meet the guidelines and standards, and I suppose that's where a lot of times we do run into situations where we probably can't come up with the exact answer that people are expecting, and that's why we do try to work with them, and some of these items actually drag out for some time.
Thank you for explaining that and for at least providing some information as to why these matters are taking some time, and I look forward to getting further information. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pittaway.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I know there's some wombats that probably drink down at the Bayswater pub, but I wasn't aware there was wombats. We got a wombat crossing on Drake Street. That's the part of the petition. Is that correct?
I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, well, there's been requests for a wombat crossing there. So when we talk about wombat crossings, it's a raised pedestrian crossing on roads. So no.
Any other questions, councillors?
Thank you.
Councillor Sazowski?
Sorry, this is just one more regarding the Bath Road roundabout and the funding that the city has put aside for the rehabilitation of that area and the planting out of the area around Fitzgerald Road, Woking Road, to kind of help residents at those intersections be a little bit hidden from the activity around the roundabout. So can the city provide an update on how planting, when's planting expected to start, and maybe in some way tell us what we can be expecting to see?
I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, as you might recall, we had some issues in terms of the scoping of the project, and the tenders came in fairly high. And then we had to go and revisit the project, and we've scaled back some of the irrigation that was proposed out there. So that work's been happening, and there are works that will occur out there. We've put in some trees and plants around the place. There's a lot more to come in. In terms of the exact timeframes, I can provide a further update for all councillors.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Black?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just hoping I can get an update on the Roberts Street roadworks. I've had a few residents reach out in regards to, they're a bit confused as to what the works entail. I was hoping to get some clarity from the city on that. Thank you.
I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, in regards to those works, we did go out to get quotations for the works. Prices did come in higher than expected, and that's been quite a common theme lately. Obviously, through world oil prices and things like that are driving some of the prices of construction works up. In that particular case, we did look at some options in terms of trying to reduce the cost of the works, but we have found unspent money from other projects that we are going to now shift towards those works to make sure that we can deliver on the plans that were actually presented to council and adopted through council. So that's the two cul-de-sac options, two cul-de-sacs with a single lane road connecting those. So we will be delivering on those. What we're looking at is, at this point in time, we haven't got the exact dates locked in. We're talking to the contractor in terms of getting some of that work delivered together with the city's team as well, who will be probably undertaking some of the drainage works and some of the preliminary stuff. But at this stage, we're probably looking at about mid-July to commence works, and hoping to have the work finished by end of August. But all of that will also be dependent on the weather and what sort of conditions we encounter there, and also the availability of the contractor.
And just a follow-up question to that, Madam Mayor, just to confirm that the plan that was presented to residents as part of the lower drop effort, was that the same plan that was endorsed by council? So there's no changes to that, just making sure for their edification.
I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, I believe there might have been another plan circulated in terms of trying to reduce some of the costs, but we are reverting back to the original plan that was presented to council. That was what council endorsed, and that will be what we'll deliver on the ground.
Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? I have one for the Director of Infrastructure and Assets. There was another car accident at the intersection of Benara Road and Crimea Street today. So can you please provide an update on any planned upgrades for Benara Road and Crimea Street and what the statistics are for that intersection in relation to incidents?
I don't have the exact statistics in terms of the accidents on that road, but what I can say is that we did use the stats for that particular intersection, the crash stats, to qualify the intersection for works under the Australian Government Black Spot program. So that is actually funded, and it's funded to commence in 2026-27. Some of the design work has already commenced, and it was originally on our project list to deliver ourselves, but through discussions with Main Roads, the project has actually gone across to Main Roads, and they will be delivering the works on our behalf. Currently they're in the design phase. We're looking at having detailed designs presented and settled potentially in July, and aiming for a finish by June 2027. What the works entail is removing the right turn filters and extending the turn pocket, together with some improvements on some of the islands for pedestrians.
Could we please get a memo provided to councillors on that, please? And also, I know that it's completed. You've said completed date by June 2027. Can I also get a commencement date?
Yes, I can do that. We were waiting for the design plans to come through and that we settle on the design, and then we're going to provide that information to all councillors.
Can we get that memo once the designs are finalised so the memo can contain the design?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, so item 13 is new business of an urgent nature, and there is none this evening. Item 14 is meeting closed to the public. So we have one confidential item this evening. Deputy Mayor, can you please confirm that you are able to maintain confidentiality while the meeting is closed to the public?
Yes, I confirm.
Thank you. And can I please have a mover and seconder to close the meeting to the public, as the information contained in the report relates to information prescribed by Regulation 4AA of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996, being the price or potential price for the sale or purchase of property by the local government, and any information relating to the price or potential price. This information permits the meeting to be closed under 5.234 of the Local Government Act 1995. Can I have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor McDonald. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Okay, so council, for the purposes of the minutes, in regards to item 14.1.1, council has resolved to keep this matter confidential under section 5.234 of the Local Government Act until such time as a public announcement is made. So thanks everyone. I will now close this meeting at 9:59 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.